In the past, we had the Fool. In the present situation, so he's looking pretty solid here. That's a present. Lots of people looking at him. Lots of people, like even people that don't like him, are watching every move he makes. Have you noticed that? He's like pretty much the most watched presidency, maybe, of the whole world, I would say. Yeah. Okay, that, and of course the Macron's crazy situation, what with him being married to his own father and that kind of weirdness. Look down that rabbit hole, people. You want a rabbit hole to look down? Okay, so past, present, near future, hidden influence, independence not owned by the deep state. See, the cards always agree that he's independent and not owned by the deep state. So, yeah, I don't think he's losing his base. Ace, I think they're questioning him, and yeah, he's losing maybe a small percentage of his base, but there's no big loss of base here. There's no big loss. And here's what's interesting. See the strength card there and the temperance? I feel like he's done enough good, and there's been enough evidence of the good he's doing and has done, that people will kind of ride through this. They've also been watching this unfold, especially if you've been also following Q and the Q drops. And in this community, you've also known that we're watching some serious 5D chess here. And that includes what we're watching right now. That's what I think anyway. And I feel like that'll save them. And I think a little bit, and a little bit of people obviously shifting, right? And I've even noticed like my Telegram got a little smaller. Like I feel like a lot of people are dropping off just because this has been long and drawn out and it's difficult and painful, especially lately, right, to watch the shenanigans. So I think that's just in general, maybe there's a percentage of people dropping off in general, just even paying attention because they're just sick of the shenanigans and the theater of it all, and you can't blame them. But see that ace there? I feel like it's more people questioning, and it's getting people talking about and questioning what he's doing. And I almost think that's what they want. I really do. I believe that the alliance that actually runs what we call Trump. So it's actually a brand. Okay, it's not actually the human Trump at this point. That person doesn't even show up at these events. That's never the real Trump for, I think, years. I think we've not seen the real Trump in at least a year, maybe once or twice last year. That's for reals. And maybe right around the time he got in again. But for the most part, he's in the background and likely working with the White Hat Alliance. I mean, I would assume that, and I would hope that even. But, we're definitely not seeing him out front. Okay, so it's a brand, and it's run by White Hat Alliance. So I don't even like to say, oh, Trump did this and Trump did that. No, White Hat Alliance are making moves. Military moves are being made in a big war situation where the deep state is being taken down strategically. And it's, I'm sure, tricky business. Anyway, none of this looks like he's really losing much of a base. Yeah, so and just like I got before, they trusted the strength of, how he got to where he got in the first place, and the strength of years of proving that he's not part of the deep state. Okay, they're trusting that pulls them through, and it does look like even the people that step away, a lot of them will come back. He'll probably even get all the other guys too. Once they realize just what a shit show everything really, all politics really is. I feel like, not that everybody will be for Trump or even like him. His personality is sometimes hard to like. But I feel like they'll at least understand what the White Hat Alliance, I think we're coming to a time when we'll at least understand that that's who's really in charge, and really the work is to get us free from the deep state. Okay, but then we're going to need to use discernment going forward and recreate the system that we want, because we have to dismantle what we don't want. It's being dismantled. But then we're going to have to actually create something we all agree to want. So that, yeah, it's going to be work. Okay, now this one's interesting. Somebody was wondering who had a friend, a person they knew on this helicopter. So a Chinook helicopter went down on August 6th, 2011. I think they called it, it's a very weird title, Extortion 17. Okay, this was the, I guess, the deadliest day in the Extortion 17 Chinook crash. Why would they call it Extortion 17? I'll have to look deeper into that. Anyway, so this crash happened and 30 soldiers were killed, 17 of which, interesting with the word 17 and then Extortion 17, that number 17, which is of course Q in the alphabet, the 17th letter. 17 of these people that died were Navy SEALs. Okay, so the person wanted to know, really, did the Navy SEALs actually go down? Because there's been a lot of speculation that they didn't, and that they might be in some kind of, they might be in some kind of hiding. And even the other soldiers. Did any of these people die in this? How much of this was true? So the story we got and how much of that was true, we'll start there, and then we'll look at deaths versus underground and hidden. We're gonna start with how much of the story is true first. We'll start there. So when you read up on it, and you'll need to read up on it. Okay, go do some research on that. Let's have a look. Well, we've got an ace there, so there's definitely truth to the story. Now we've got the Fool, but the ace is really creative. So that's a creative ace. Let's keep looking. Okay, I'm going to see what's underneath this card because I'm not convinced this means yes in this case, just because of it's such a creative card. 3. Oh man, there's 2 aces. Okay, wow, that does look true. I'm thinking it did go down. I would say some of this is definitely true. Some of this is true. Now we've got the 3 of Wands here. We will know the full truth, but it won't, could be months away before we know. Here we've got the Fool. So I don't think every single word is true, but there's truth to it. And a helicopter like that did go down. I think, it's not confirming deaths happened, but we'll ask the death card in a minute. See that 4 of Pentacles there? So they're withholding a lot. So a lot of why, where it went maybe, why and who was affected, maybe even who created it, might not be true. So they're withholding a lot of information, but the basic fact that this helicopter went down absolutely is true. Okay, now this is interesting because even in 2011, I feel like the White Hat Alliance might have been involved in that. Somehow the White Hat Alliance was involved, either targeted in this and or literally involved in the whole, like it's starting to look like it might be at least partly not true. Okay, so let's have a look at, so some of it's true. The physical fact that a helicopter went down that was called that looks true. Let's look at people dying. How many people, did all 30 of those soldiers die? Did some of them not die? What about the death count? That would be quite an operation to hide that many soldiers, and get all their families on board, hiding them and keeping them, quiet about it. To me, that seems, but I don't know, right? Okay, so it's partly, so some people did die, but we've got the Wheel of Fortune, which we could mean only 10, not to say 10's too many. Okay, I'm not saying, I don't mean it like only 10, but 10 out of 30, that's a lot less than 30. Okay, so I'm thinking 10 people might have died. I'm also thinking that, yeah, the reason for so the whole story around why they were where they were, what they were doing, that doesn't feel true. I'm thinking 10 people were not, sorry. So that leaves 20 people still alive and had to surrender their identities and life and families to go into hiding. They had to change their whole life. So it's almost like they died. Wow. That is wow. And it feels like it was really thought necessary. So they're gone underground, undercover. And it was thought necessary, but 10 people did die. So fascinating. Huh. And then the hermit. I even think some of these people are hidden, possibly other dimensionally. So I don't know if that's off-world. Do I mean on another planet? But I'm not sure how things work, right? Or is it underground in Middle Earth? Oh boy, so hard to say. But somehow the Alliance was involved in the hiding of the other 20. Now, I wonder why they had to say 30 people died. Wow, you could do a whole show just on that. That looks like something for a deep dive. Okay, yeah, so some of those people did die, but not nearly as many. And yeah, so the mission might have been some really creative things like made up about what they were really doing. It looks like the actual physical helicopter did go down though. Okay, now let's look at the weather reports. So there's been reports. So somebody wrote in, they were from Arkansas, I believe, and they said the weather, when you watch the Weather Channel, was saying it was 110 degrees, I believe, is how they say it. We say Celsius here in Canada, but that's a different thing. So this is in the US, so I'm thinking it's degrees. Okay, and let me know in the comments, do I have that right? And then it was really 89 degrees. So this person was saying that consistently the weather is reporting much hotter than it actually is. Then, of course, I looked into it a little bit and I got Coco to look into it. There's also all kinds of evidence that they're using visuals to make things look hotter. They're using that hot red color, the orangey colors. They're using, today it's 32 and they got the big exclamation mark or 31. And apparently these are pretty usual numbers for these areas, but they're acting like it's never been that hot before. Like, just look at the visuals here. They're making it look like everything's on fire with how hot it is. Hang on. I got the Wheel of Fortune just popped out. So that's interesting. Okay. So what I want to know is, do we still have deep state trying to push the change in the weather? What are we going to call it? Where we're somehow creating more like CO2 is carbon dioxide is actually creating that. Farts from cows is creating the weather or the planet to heat up. I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about. So the weather hoax, or the hoax that the world is absolutely unnaturally heating up. Okay, I believe that's a hoax myself. I've actually seen the opposite. Calgary's it's getting more severe in a way, but it's either really, really, really hot for very short amounts of time or incredibly cold when I was living there. So it was actually, and the cold would come a lot sooner in my understanding of weather. I feel like we're more likely moving into a mini ice age than heating up. So anyway, what I'm asking here is this trend in the weather reporting being reported from deep state as a nod to how these global changes are, ruining our environments, etc.? Is it a nod to the weather hoax? Is it a nod to the climate hoax? Or is it actually the White Hat Alliance showing us how they do this and making it so obvious with the visuals and everything? Also, even literally reporting 110 when it's 89. Okay, now there's quite a big difference there. You know what I mean? And especially if 89 in Arkansas at that time of the year is perfectly normal. Okay, it's been like that for years. And they're trying to, it's like they're creating all this fear. They're fear mongering just like they did during the COVID, pandemic times. Okay, so let's have a look. Who's doing it? We got Deep State doing this. They still in charge of the weather reporting? Okay, let's see. Wow, well, they certainly were in the past, and that's absolutely. No, I feel like right now, the Alliance is in charge, and they're outing what the deep state players did. So this is more the outing of, and they're getting people to come to the truth of it themselves. So they're getting people to understand. So they're helping people use their own intuition, like that person did. They phoned their friend and said, how hot is it where you are? Because they're reporting 110. And then the person said, no, it's 89 here. Okay, so people have their own, ways of checking these things. You can have your own thermometer or whatever and find out that it's not what they're saying it is, and also, of course, all those visuals they're using. Yeah, so things are not changing much according to this card. Okay, they're not changing much, but it feels like there's that disappointing trend, blaming it all on us, blaming it on cow farts, blaming it on, just any way they can extort more money from us. Okay, that's what these guys were up to. Okay, they were gaslighting regular folks instead of really getting us to look at or helping us understand that huge corporations are, in fact, harming the environment, but everyday folks, not. You know what I mean? And certainly not cows hanging out. You know what I mean? So the whole cow thing, of course, was to take all the farmland and turn us all into 15-minute cities. That's the whole reason they'd be blaming it on the cow farts. You know what I mean? Instead of huge corporations, spewing into the oceans and spewing into the environment. No, they're going to blame it on cow farts. Yeah, and just regular folks living their life. Okay, so that's kind of what I thought that was going on there. Now, Tamara Lich, L-I-C-H. I think Leach is how I'd say that. Okay, so she was one of the organizers and certainly at the front lines of the trucker convoys. Okay, and for whatever reason, they're really stretching this out and playing it out, even though it was found that the emergency that was called, so the Canadian Emergency Act was called right in the middle of this, as if it was like some big threatening demonstration across Canada, when in fact it was a whole bunch of really, 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 really good people, and mainly truckers and people in trucker families, I guess. But also all of Canada came out for it, really, just regular folks, lots of families were really just demonstrating against the lockdowns and forced jabs. And it actually made me so proud to be a Canadian. And of course, they had to highlight this woman and one fellow. And these people are getting some big sentencing after some moronic judge. And let's find that judge's name. I believe it's a woman. We need to find her name and spread it everywhere, because she's obviously a deep stater or a weffer. You know what I mean? But anyway, they're trying to say she could get up to 7 years, this woman, for her part, in something that was already pretty much known to the public as really a great thing for Canada, but of course they're still playing it out. Okay, so I'm wondering, is any of this real, to do with her court case, to do with, it looks real and it's scary. But if you've been following what I've been looking at for a really long time, it kind of looks like, even on the day she got arrested originally, I felt like it was all theater. Okay, is it still theater? Or are we actually going to see this woman spend some time in jail? Let's have a look. Like literally what they really have her on is a misdemeanor. Okay, but they're hyping it up, of course, like they do. It's like they're using our court system, just like, well, I'm sure it's been a criminal system for a really long time. I mean, it's criminal. All of our governments are criminal. That's what I think this whole time is about. It's been outing that all of us are in these systems that have nothing to do with justice, nothing to do with anything good for humanity. It's all, meant to oppress and keep us all down and really stupid is really what they're trying to, they're basically treating us like we're complete idiots. Okay, but anyway, so here, this is interesting. See the Three of Pentacles there? That's in the past. So she's working together with some people. Everybody's in on this. The judge is in on it. Tamara's in on it. I think this is a white hat alliance. I think we got a psyop on our hands. I think they want people to get really, really shocked. They're out to shock people. I feel like they are going to give her some years, okay? But I don't believe she'll spend any of them in jail. I feel like, no. I feel like this is a white hat op. And it's a psyop. And it's put on by part of the theater that is what we've been watching. Thank goodness. But something shocking will come out of today. But the shock will be to regular folks who are just, like this is part of the wake-up call. I feel like they might just give her some years here, it looks like. I don't think they'll give her all 7, but they're going to give her some years. And really for a misdemeanor, it's absolutely shocking. And a lot of people are going to yell about it. And it's really meant to wake people up. So I think she's in on the theater and she signed up for this. Yeah, there we go. She's an actor in on the theater and signed up for this. So this is all playing out so we could understand what these guys have been up to and how they do what they do. Okay, so that's a psyop. And I've been getting that steady. Like a lot of people get really grumpy that I get, that's how the cards read it. But it's like, sorry, buddies. It's a pretty deep psyop at this point. So deep. If I'm right, it's unbelievable that they've been getting away with this stuff. Like, whoa. Okay. How much longer? Here's a good one. We're going to end on this one. How much longer will we need to watch this political theater? Yeah, that was a good question. I was like, yeah, I bet everybody wants to know that. Because this is just getting old. When I did a year look at 2025, remember I got as a big hidden influence was the tower. And that's systems coming down. And the closer I looked at it, it looked like all the systems. So sometime this year, and you can already see it, nobody believes anything anymore. They're even doubting the White Hat Alliance, and I don't blame them. You know what I mean? There's a lot of doubt everywhere about everything. Okay, but it is creating a whole group of people and adding to that group daily, I believe it's being added to, of independent thinkers that are actually using their intuition, their own personal logic, common sense, and they're figuring stuff out themselves, which that can't be bad, you guys. That's got to be. I believe that's the goal of the universe. It's why we're going through all of this. That's my belief. But let's have a look. How much longer will we actually have to be in this, watching this theater, especially the political part? It's just so hard to watch. I just want to see these guys coming down. It's painful even. Okay, so we've got the sun, and wow. So it will come down. Yep, it will. That says we'll get our wish. We will be in that golden era. Just a better time for humanity. That's wonderful. These two cards are wonderful. We'll get there. Here we've got the Page of Swords. We're not there yet. We've got surrender in the middle. So a big part of the holdup is how many people don't have a clue about what's going on. But yeah, isn't that interesting? The world, all of a sudden, everyone comes on page. So something must be happening here that creates everybody. So by the end of the year, I feel like we're done this theater. I feel like things really speed up, and they've been speeding up actually since May. So that makes sense to this card. And there's a speeded up card here. I think we get a lot done between now and the end of the year, where we're done. The curtain calls by the end of the year. Yeah. That's looking like. I think we're still in line for that Tower card being the hidden influence for the year. So I'll say it like that. And yeah, as you can tell, I've still got this crazy, stuffiness. It's just really needs to be done with this. Yeah, thank you so much, everybody, and for all your well wishes. 4 of Wands. I wonder if any cards like this or this card will come up. Because that card's like a gateway, which would indicate, yes, they will be. JFK Jr. would be coming forward, but let's have a look. I do believe they never did die in that plane crash, by the way. That's what I consistently get. That was a faked plane crash. Okay, so we've got the Strength card and a Victory. So they're certainly waiting till the deep state is firmly been completely taken down, really. So they didn't want to be unsafe, I guess, and or for whatever reason, they were waiting till it was absolutely sure the deep state was taken down, or in a certain, in a certain place. Right, like in the demise of those scumbags. So they wanted it a certain level of assurance, I guess, that those guys weren't going to, because, it's dangerous for these people to come out. Okay, but we've got Strength, and so they want to be sure about that. That's why they're waiting. Here we've got the High Priestess, so still going forward. It's up in the air. She's a little up in the air, and a big celebration, but a whole lot of stress. Because going forward, there's going to be so much stress around adrenochrome. Like, I feel like they want this to be known first before they come trotting out, because I feel like that might take away a lot of attention away from, they definitely want the human trafficking, child trafficking, adrenochrome situation that's stressful. That big secret needs to come out. So they're waiting. So it's a timing thing. Okay, so there's not an assurance that they'll come out in 2025, but it's looking pretty good. Okay, but certainly there's things that have to happen first. Okay, so we'll say it like that. Okay, so let's have a look at Trump. Okay, this one's okay. Okay. People are asking, is Trump secretly a Zionist? And I think I'll look at that one more time for you. This is the last time I'm going to look at it, unless some actual evidence comes out that's starting to look like. I mean, because maybe we have a Zionist Trump running around. I mean, didn't, who was it? Ben Fulford used to always say there's a dark or a deep state Trump running around. And that could be why sometimes, weirdly, Trump does really seem to defend Israel, doesn't he? Yeah, it's weird. But a lot of people have come out and explained why that is. I'm not going to go into that right now. We've looked at it in the past. But what I will ask again is there any chance that the Trump we see on the regular, okay, who's doing the public, greeting the public and talk, like, because we know that there's several actors that play Trump. Okay, so we're not seeing the real Trump, but let's see if is Trump. Okay, let's do it this way. Is the original Trump? I've never asked it this way, so let's do this. The original Trump actually a Zionist, right? So that would mean he's fooling all of us, wouldn't it? Okay, but I'm going to ask just to put this one to bed and or open a can of worms. Let's have a look. We got to keep track of everything that's going on. So do we have a Zionist Trump? The guy that's, so here's a secret card. Okay, so there's an unnecessary stress card. Okay, so that's interesting. So there's a secret reason or a reason why that's been kept a secret. Yeah, secret reason why people might worry about that. Okay, so why he might do the things he does or says the things he does. And so, isn't this interesting? How it would appear to the public. So there's some people, they're trying to, it's supposed to appear to the general population that he might be, so that they question it. Okay, so that feels like it's the art of war. So we've got the art of war going on. There's some kind of an agreement with Israel already in the background. And I've got this for years. Okay. People forget this, that I've got this. Okay. And it's not in any way, unlike somebody accused me of the other day on a Beyond Mystic show, which was very offensive to me, but it is in no way me defending the horrific things that those guys are doing. You know what I think of the Khazarian mafia. So we're not even going to say Zionist, because that gets confusing too. We're going to say the fake people that pretend that they're Jewish, that are actually, you can trace them to Khazarian mafia. So there's a lot of names for those people. Okay, but they are in fact parading around as and often have last names that look Jewish, okay? But they're like bloodline families that have used and hidden behind Judaism for centuries, maybe thousands of years. Those guys, okay? And they're actually like demonic and practice Satanism. Those guys, okay? And some people say they created this fake thing called Zionism. And they also created the state of Israel, okay, to hide in, okay, and also created a whole bunch of things and ways that makes it really hard for anybody to speak against them, or have up until now. But let me tell you, that seems to be not the case anymore. Okay, a lot of people are speaking against those people that are pretending to be Jewish. Okay, unfortunately, a lot of people are saying Jewish, okay, and lumping all of the Jewish people together. That's unfortunate, but that is not how I think about it. So I think about it as these people that have been hiding behind Judaism and in fact created the fake sort of collection that they call Zionism. Okay, that when you look into it, that was created at some point, and it really wasn't naturally coming out of true Judaism. Anyway, but of course, I'm no expert. Of course, clearly I'm not. Okay, and you can tell by the way I'm talking about it. I really am not. So I'm not trying to offend in any way people that were born and raised who believe they're Jewish. Okay, I'm talking about Khazarian mafia, Satan worshipers who hide behind the title and the last names. They've all changed over to look Jewish. Okay, that's what they did. And at some point in history, they took on Judaism because they were told, I think it was by the Roman Empire, that they had to choose between these certain world religions at the time. And they had to choose one because everyone hated them. because they were bloodthirsty. They had blood ritual, and they were basically told they had to get in line with one of the world religions and practice that way. They couldn't practice their Satanism, but of course they just hid. So they chose Judaism and they hid behind it. And then they created this whole other sort of version of it that is very unfortunate for people that are like just good practicing Jewish people. Okay. And then of course, I believe all organized religions. So I'll go a little further and say, and even good practicing Jewish people, Christian people of every denomination of Judaism, and everybody is going to be shocked, I think, in the 2025. Remember the tower at the top that I've been getting? I feel like all organized religions are at their deep root somehow have been bastardized, taken over, and manipulated. So I don't really like, I'm not talking about good people who just want to be good people, but I'm saying any doctrines out there, okay, just so you know where I stand, I think have been inverted. All of them, all the doctrines on some high level. Okay, we have to be careful. And also a lot of things were misrepresented in the early writings and then recreated. And we could be mistaking a lot of things in all the organized religions as the dominance of Elohim. Okay, so even the word Elohim, I really do think, and the cards agree, according to my cards, that that was misrepresented in the Bible, and a lot of things have to get re-looked at. So I think all organized religion needs a relook. And personally, I think if you have to belong to a controlled doctrine, something that literally tells you, oh, because you were born into that, so therefore you are, okay, I feel like, and I've no offense meant, but this could be offensive to a lot of people. I feel like that's very much kindergarten religious, or spiritually. Spirituality is an individual pursuit that is done with you and your soul essence, okay, and isn't about anybody's doctrine passed down. Okay, I got no respect for doctrines, and that's just me, because they were all messed with, and that's putting it mildly. So I don't trust any of them, and that's just me. Okay, so just so you know where I'm coming from on it, and you can think however you like about it. But so if I share things that rips down organized religions of every kind, then, that's what I do, because I don't believe in any of them. But I'm not personally against anybody if that's where they're at with it, okay? As long as they're good people and mean well for others, okay? That you're okay with me, okay? But I'm just not buying anybody's doctrine, okay? So just so you know where I'm sitting with it. Anyway, and so I'm not going to apologize for sharing other people's views that have the right idea, but unfortunately could be lumping, like in their language, they're using the word Jewish people, okay? And they're not saying how I prefix it, okay, with what I mean is Khazarian Mafia. So they're not saying that, but a lot of them mean that. Okay, so if it's offensive, things are going to get a lot more offensive. So I'm just saying, across the board on all doctrines, and everybody's officialdom is going to come apart and be ripped to shreds in the coming year, okay? Everybody's idea about who God is, what God is. If you actually think God energy is like a male, okay, in the sky and lords over and watches, and like, if you actually think that's true, okay, things are going to get a little rough in 2025, okay? Anyway, because we have to get more sophisticated with our understanding of energy, okay? And what's been done to us in our history. It's all been fed to us. And just because you were born into something, in my humble opinion, doesn't mean you have to keep following it. You need to actually check in with your own soul essence to see if that's true or not. Okay, I love my parents, but they were devout Catholics, and that means they weren't that bright. I'm sorry, but like look at into it. Catholicism's oh, man, right? Look at all the stuff they've been up to. You know what I mean? Because they all go revert back to the Pope. I mean, that right there, like if you, the head of your club that you belong to is a pedophile and a child trafficker, and everything about the way it's presented is inverted, and really what they're doing is demonic, but you're still okay to call yourself a Catholic. There's something wrong with you. I'm sorry. You're not that bright. Okay, I'm sorry. And you're not looking into stuff. Okay, so there's a way to be spiritually connected that doesn't have to belong to any clubs, because all of the clubs look like they were inverted, and they're all just deep covers for trafficking and crimes against humanity. And that's all of them. I don't care which one. You name it, they're all suspect to me. Okay, so individual spiritual searching is your only course of action, in my opinion. You don't have to agree with me. Okay, so just so everybody knows, because I get so many emails about this stuff. Okay, and I just wanted everybody to know where I sit with it, but you can sit however you want with it, but just so you know what I'm saying. Okay, so here we've got, anyway, so what was I talking about? He's secretly not a Zionist. Okay. No, he's not. Okay. But it does look like he's going to use how this is the art of war that's going on. He's going to use it, and something happened in the background with Israel. Okay. That actually has been agreed upon. We don't know about it yet, but it's going to be part of going forward, some of that tower, I think that happens. Something already happened. And when it gets revealed, I feel like we'll really more understand why some of the stuff he says. Okay, so that's what I do. I have got that in the past, so I'm going to leave it there. And so you guys, don't ask me if Trump's a Zionist unless some actual proof starts coming back up. If it's just that he says things for Israel, I feel like, yeah, this is how it appears. So it appears that, so he says things that are suspicious, but he's using them in the art of war. So down the road, I feel like that will become obvious why he's doing that. And something's gone on in the background where they've capitulated, just like a lot of other governments have capitulated. So yeah, like that's a tricky situation, because that's the head of, like, really, Israel would be the head of the snake, really. That would be where the biggest Khazarian mafia would be, hanging out. Something's gone on there, and I think years ago, that we still don't know about. And maybe that's why Q said Israel will be last. We'll hear about that last. And that's what that looked like, that card reading. Okay, so let's have a look. Okay, somebody was saying that Tom Numbers was saying that maybe something happened in the background, and we're going to have a smooth transition of outing of the secrets, and not a big EBS. It'll be slow and safer, and maybe they've stepped away from thinking they need the EBS, so emergency broadcast system. So in 2025, are they going to roll out the EB? Is that still in the plan? Is that a possibility? What kind of percentage of a possibility is it? Or have they totally kicked that to the curb? Okay, because that'll be disappointing if they have. I'd love an EBS, let me tell you. Okay, but I don't know. This is war, so they move. They change the game board. They changed the game board right on election day on a lot of things in the background. Maybe this is one of the fallouts of that, but I don't know for sure. Let's have a look. Wow. Okay, so it does look like it's a possibility still. That's not right off the board. And it'll depend on as things crumble. And like, so that tower is like a staple here in the coming year. The year could be even identified as the tower year. This is a tower year. The system's coming down. All the systems are coming down. So they're going to be watching and gauging. So I would not say it's off the table. I would say they're going to keep checking in, and they're going to keep looking at people's moods. What's the mood? Okay. And what would be the best way? They're trying to keep everybody as far away from the ledge as possible, because while this is happening, a lot of people will be on the ledge. Okay. And going over the ledge. Okay. So they're going to try to minimize the damage by, and I feel like maybe they're thinking potentially the EBS could, push people right over the edge. So I feel like they're going to just keep gauging it. And so I don't think it's a no. It's not no, they won't have it, but it's more like we'll just keep watching, which actually has kind of been the answer for quite a while now. In a way, it's kind of been the answer. I mean, it keeps looking like they're going to have it, and then they feel like they back off of it for safety reasons. Okay, now I got two more questions to ask, and these are kind of big ones. Are the white hats still operating for the people? Might as well ask it. It's the end of the year here, so let's just get that one under our belt. I mean, my feeling is yes, but I haven't asked the question with the cards for a long time, so let's have a look. I mean, maybe they've been infiltrated. I don't know. Let's have a look. White hats, are they still working for the good of the humans? Are some of them bad? Are all of them bad? Are some of them? Yeah. What do we got? What kind of percentage? So here we've got we definitely got, that's a safety card. And while everybody's looking, so they're still doing the psyops and keeping us busy with some of the movie. I know that the theater part for sure is the politics of it, all the politics all over the world. That's insane. That's theater. And it's unfortunate because it makes people so angry and it gets us so upset. But that's your decision if you want to get angry and upset about it. Okay, I believe politics has always been, oh, here we go with the tower again. Okay, so as things crumble here, so this is what everybody's seeing. Meanwhile, here's what the white hats are doing. Okay, they're still on plan. Something did change, so they're having to plan on their feet. Something came along about that could have been weeks ago, that could have been months ago, or in the last 4 weeks or months, okay, that did cause them to move in a new direction. And it was maybe even surprising to them. And I've been getting that. And then they had lots of meetings right around the time Trump got in. Okay, it wasn't necessarily bad or good. It was just a different element. And then the cards aren't really telling us what the element is. Okay, it just says something came along and surprised them. And the game plan changed. Okay, so we've got the Page of Swords and the Magician. Okay, so it also stretched out how long they're going to have to play out the theater. Okay, so that they now believe they have to keep the theater going for some reason. I don't know why, but that's what I'm getting. Okay, and here we've got, so yes, they're definitely okay with humans, but they're going in new directions. Okay, here's the overview. Okay, so, but it's absolutely, they're working on behalf of humanity. 80% here. Some of it you might not agree with, that's for sure. Lots of people actually don't agree with their take on things. The fact that they're psyoping us. Okay, a lot of people do not like that. And I get that. But they're just trying to be really creative with how they do their work. That's what I get. So yeah. White hats are still on our side. Okay, now, what is the strength? So my last question here, what is the strength of the Khazarian Mafia? Okay. What is there, like, what do we got to worry about? Ooh, This one came. That's a page. You know, if that anything like that shows up in this spread, it will make sense. A page is kind of weak, like it's the beginning of, or just a small amount of, like, so knights are bigger, like queens are even more powerful, and kings are the most powerful. And it's not like you could be a female and be considered a king. It's only in a measure of your power. Okay, I'm only talking about it in power measurements, right? How the tarot talks about it. And that was the page. Okay, so that looks like they might be weak, but let's make sure. And I've got for years that they're just getting weaker and weaker. Foolish, fools, the fool, let's see. Is it badly aspected or well aspected? So far it's kind of neutral. Wishy-washy. Okay, I would say the woo community is a lot stronger than the Khazarian Mafia. The Khazarian Mafia, actually, I'm getting who's left of them are probably trying to get the hell out of here, or trying to hide underground. Like they feel like they're at a standstill in their possibilities here. And going forward, really weak. That's a weak card, and mostly they have gossip and innuendo. I don't even think they got the wherewithal to pull off a big blue beam. Project Bluebeam. If anything like that happens, it'll be the white hats for some reason doing it. It's not going to be the bad guy. The bad guys don't have any oomph really whatsoever, which basically I've been getting for quite a while. Okay, so we've got the Wheel of Fortune and we've got the 8. Okay, so the Wheel of Fortune and the 8. Some big turnaround. Unexpected. So there's that unexpected turnaround that really, stopped them in their tracks. So something happened around, I feel like it was November 5th. Remember when I felt that big shift? Something happened and it absolutely, stopped them in their tracks. Yeah. Wow. I think it was all the people. I feel like the Khazarian Mafia or the people that were trying to shut down the election, for instance, because that would be a big gauge on how much power they still have left, right? They weren't able to. And everybody noticed everything and yelled about it on social media. And they, no matter what they did, like that saying, it was too big to rig. I feel like they had no idea they were that hooped until that day when none of their shenanigans worked. Not a single one of their little plans worked. Everything backfired. I feel like that really set them back. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching my video. And sending you all ravens. Have a wonderful season, whatever you do in this time of year. For me, it's just going to be a social time. I'm definitely not celebrating on the day because now I understand the dates, for the deep state and or the Khazarian Mafia, the Elohim cult or whatever. They might have stake in, like, there's some kind of big ritual right around Christmas that's really deep and dark. And even trees are celebrating it. So having a tree in your house. So I do have a tree in my house, but I've done different things with how I adorned it. And I put a feather on top and smudged it and took that energy away from it, what it used to mean. And I didn't put the wreath around it and the things that they do. And I'm not using the colors that I think would be associated with the ritual. What I'm doing with our Christmas season here, I'm sort of trying to create my own ritual around this time of year, since everyone does come together and it's a good time or an excuse to, but I'm moving everything sort of a day after or a day before and not giving that energy on the day. And then as the years go by with my family, we're going to decide how we're going to create this time of year, recreate it. We're going to see what we're going to do with it, but we're going to create our own rituals because we have to start from scratch. When we learn these things, it doesn't mean you don't get to, if this is your favorite time of year, or at least a time when you can come together with family because everybody else is getting together, it doesn't mean you have to just drop it and be like bah humbug, but you can undo those spells and do your own thing with it. And that's what I'm planning to do. Thank you so much, everybody. Love you guys and sending you all ravens. So we're looking at kind of percentages. Wow, we've got the Judgment card. So there's a wake-up call. Whoa, and that's the Woo card. She's a wooster. Wow, isn't that interesting? Okay, so it was definitely coming from a deep state plan. Okay, so we asked about the white hats. This indicates sovereignty for the people. So I'd say white hat and alliance, but pretty woo. Okay, that's pretty woo. So that's really interesting. Let me just keep looking. But it's so originally, a lot of these drones were created by deep state governments. Okay, just like I was saying, because here's where they come from. That's the past in my reading. This is the current situation. A whole lot of hearsay out there, and people are saying things that just aren't true. So we still haven't got to the bottom of it. It looks like with the Judgment card, it's absolutely a call to move us in a direction. Like Judgment wants to wake up the sleepers, but this is interesting because now we've got this woo element over here. Let's keep looking. Okay, there. Let's get that up a little. See if that doesn't help. So, okay, so waking up and also leading. So these drones, I feel like, are largely operated by white hat, because the white hat card comes up as Judgment. So that means they really want to, first of all, get the jump on the explanation or get the jump on the narrative, taking it out of the bad guys' hands into their hands. Secondly, it's a major arcana, so they're a major component, but there's also some woo people flying around drones. It's like there's more than just white hats out there. There's also some woo people, so people that maybe also create drones, also have technology beyond what we know, and are showing off their skills. I feel like everybody got in on this. When the drones started showing up, everybody took advantage of the situation and got their drones out, okay? And that includes maybe even a group of an element of people that are building them, not with White Hat Alliance input and not with deep state input, just doing their own thing because they happen to know. So maybe they're a rogue element of some woo out there people that are independently doing it. So we've got that, but they're not as big. The biggest element, so the most amount of drones is from the White Hat Alliance. And it looks like they took it out of the hands of the deep state, which would make sense that the deep state people are all talking about, oh, it's their deep state. They're like the bad guys. They're the dark hats. They're okay, well, they built them originally, or they're the ones that have been hiding this technology from us, but I don't think they're actually the ones flying them right now. That's White Hat Alliance. Deep state are like, if you think Biden's government's flying these drones, no way. You know, these guys are, so the stories about, oh, they're sniffing out, we're going to have to ask, are they, did the White Hat Alliance bring them out to sniff out for this lost, supposedly some, I forget what it was, but it's a dangerous substance, some canisters of a dangerous substance that could make really lethal bombs, okay, or something, or be really lethal to humanity, got stolen, lost in transit, like, really? Okay, but I don't know. Maybe that's true. Are these drones sniffing them out? But I will say, to answer the question, this is mostly White Hat Alliance taken out of the hands of the deep state and maybe taken over their agenda. So the agenda was to have these things everywhere, and they were going to do their whole, oh, let's lock everybody down because now we got a drone situation. But I feel like right now it's being used by the White Hats. Now, whether they're going to lock us down because of it, not really looking like that. Okay, I don't think they could get away with locking people down again. I think people are going to tell them where to go with the lockdowns. Okay, so I'm not really getting the outcome is they're going to lock people down. That's not what it is. They want more information, so they want to control and direct information. Maybe they want to slow down the information about who owns what and how much our government really knew about it. They want to bring it out, but they want to do it on their own terms. So it's not like they're lying per se. We don't have a manipulation card here. We do have, their intention is to bring out the information, but they want to do it their way, okay, out of the hands of these guys who would have used it to make a narration of reason why we have to take more of your laws away, probably, right? Yeah, it doesn't feel like that's the plan here, and that's a good thing, okay? But we have this interesting rogue element of energies flying these things around who built them. I don't know what companies these people are or whatever, but they're not deep state and they're not White Hat. They're much smaller, mind you, but the main element that's flying around that people are getting the pictures of, the SUV sized, those are actually White Hat Alliance, likely taken out of the hands of, maybe quite a while ago, the deep state governments who were building these things and hiding them on us. Okay, so now they're in the hands of the White Hats. Okay, and they are kind of trying to be controlling with the information, yes, but they do intend to bring out the information. And I'm not cutting them slack on that. I'm just saying what I'm getting in the cards. Okay, so here we've got the 6 of Cups. So the next thing that happens, so the 6, this is what we'll see. We will likely see some kind of a connection where you get like, it doesn't look like it escalates into violence, which is interesting. This is like a friendly card where something happens that feels like it takes down a notch the fear factor around the drones, and maybe even provide some kind of an explanation for them that feels friendlier, or they back down energetically where they're feeling like they're threatening people. I feel like something's about to happen that feels like it takes the edge off all of this crazy around these drones, which is a good thing because, I feel like that's probably a good thing, right? Okay, so here we've got the Death card. Yep. So we're moving in a direction of slowly but surely information coming out about how much. This is about technology and reveals. So the technology was going to be revealed, or I don't think revealed, more like used against us by the deep state government. Okay, the deep state government's capitulated, and we've got a sort of a hidden background government that's been doing their thing here in the background for 4 years, run by the military / with Trump sort of heading it, okay, as a head and certainly a figurehead. I get him more like a brand at this point, but anyway, maybe I'm wrong about that, but that's just how I get it. So it's very convoluted, and there's a lot of layers here. So people just can't simply say, oh, it's all just government trying to, yeah, that was the element for sure. Now the White Hats are outing that plan, Okay, like they've been outing all of the dirty government plans. Okay, so they just outed that one. It doesn't lead to a lockdown from what I get. Okay, but people are talking about that. I don't get it does. Certainly not the bad kind of lockdown where they take away all your privileges again and laws again. I feel like it's more of a reveal and revealing and getting everybody up to speed. Also getting people to look into how your government manipulates things, right? See, this is more like, it's like a gift from White Hat Alliance. That's the Trump team card. It's like a gift from them to get you to understand physically what physically is available to humanity. And now the whole time, though, there's a bunch of actual ET energies around, non-human energies. There's that. So now we got to move into that, because this drone thing, that's a whole different thing than the ET element I was picking up on. That's literally trying to break through all of this fog and get directly in connection with humans. That's interesting. So let's look at that. And it felt like that was coming from the mothership that was orbiting the moon. Remember, it was with the moon, orbiting around with the moon for those couple of months, although barely seen. People could barely see it, but I feel like it probably knows how to cloak when it needs to cloak. I feel like that mothership is sending out energies, because I was picking up on it, and some other psychic people are picking up on messages from those entities. It's quite interesting. I feel like they're seeking people to talk to through, okay, who can understand or channel what their intention is. These are good ones, by the way. I don't necessarily get them as bad ones. I get them as non-harmful to humans. But they kind of had a bone to pick with our governments, which makes sense, because they've been misrepresented and or ill-treated by, and or like we had the Three of Swords around them. So they've long been, well, maybe even not being known to humanity, and like our government's covering up for their existence. Maybe they're finished with that. That's what it felt like. They were done being misrepresented by governments. Okay, and they just wanted to, well, why not go? Somebody wrote in the comments, oh, that makes them dangerous if they want to go right to the people. Why on earth is that? We are powerful beings. We created supposedly our government, or that's the facade the government was created under, that we choose them, which of course we know that that isn't true. But I mean, a lot of normies think they choose their governments. Do you know what I mean? Right? So governments are supposed to speak for people. So in what reality is these energies who can't seem to bust through the government fakery around them and a silence around them to get directly to people? How is that making them dangerous? I feel like they've been damn polite about it, frankly, honestly. Yeah. So, and I know there's bad ones that aren't polite about things. No, I know that. And possibly even, the deep state and all the really gross upper echelons going up from deep state, Khazarian mafia, the bosses of those energies that really are the overlords, they're really bad ETs. Okay, I believe that with all my heart. Okay, I feel like a lot of the drawings of what were the scary sort of entities, that humans have been afraid of, since really early days in humanity and recorded in human history, are likely ET related. The drawings you see that are, of these scary creatures. For instance, just look at what the Hopis, presented as these, energies, spirit energies, Hopi dancers, sort of spirit energies. What were those? Okay, they're probably ETs. Okay, but they used their own way of artistic expression to represent them. And people mistake these dancers. So they make these energies that look really scary, but they mistook them for Hopis dressing up like that, when in fact they're actually energies that came into the Hopi culture and scared the shit out of them. Like, anyway, but there's lots of indigenous stories, and indigenous peoples from all over the world have stories about creatures that came, sky creatures and stuff. What do you think they're talking about? ETs. Okay, and even if they didn't literally come from the sky, it appears that they do. Okay, so they might come from other places, but they seem to come from craft that can fly. Equals people assume that they're from, outer space. Okay, and that's still another thing we still have to figure out, all that outer space stuff. Okay, anyway, I digress. Okay, now we're going to look at how much of the energies people are picking up on that aren't drones. So we're not talking about things that look like drones. That's a whole different thing. A lot of flying objects are being recorded. How much of that people are seeing in the skies at night all over the world now, how much of that is ET related? And we'll just call them ETs for lack of a better word. Let's just say ETs. And what I mean is, other than human run craft, and not made by our governments, any governments in the world's craft. So made non-human made, okay? How much of those energies people are filming and seeing and, catching glimpses of, et cetera, and telling stories about, how much of that right now that's been going on since beginning of December is ET? Any of it? Is it all just that drone activity? What do we got? Okay, here's what I keep getting, and so I'll just repeat it. They want to be known. So yes, we've got lots of it is ET. You bet. Look at that. And it's the good ETs too. And Alliance knows about them, or maybe they're even some our future selves, which makes them seem like ETs. Okay, so energies. So I always get this card as the Alliance. So in other words, what the Alliance could be is what I think maybe they are. I've kind of pieced it together. Correct me if I could be off on this, but it feels like the Alliance is an advanced version of humanity. And maybe they're even those ones, Jean-Claude's talked about this and with several guests, that left the planet and now they're back because they know the future, because timelines don't work the way we think they do. It's not a linear thing. And they've, looped around on time and seen what is to come for humanity. And I feel like they're back here helping. They helped organize the White Hats. They give advice to the White Hats. Okay. So I feel like some of these energies, and maybe not all of them are Alliance. Maybe now we're also talking about another group that is also our future selves, or in a more advanced version of humanity, maybe. Okay. But certainly very advanced beings, let's say that, and maybe this lifetime human. Okay. Do you know what I mean? Okay. Because maybe they haven't been living, maybe not non-Earth, let's say. Okay, so they haven't been living on Earth. They created ways to be in their crafts, maybe, or they've been living other places other than Earth. Okay, because I did ask ET, I said ET, and this card came up, so it's in the past. So they might have been Earthlings at some point, and then advanced technology took them elsewhere, and now they're actually from somewhere else. Is it somewhere else on Earth that we don't know about, that we don't call Earth? Is it like other worlds that are floating around out there? We don't know. Okay, I don't know that for sure, but let's just say this. Advanced beings that don't mean harm to humanity are certainly part of the element people are picking up on. And like I was getting, they feel it's karmic and timely that they're known right now. Okay. And see that 6, they want to and introduce themselves. 6 is like a victory lap. They want to take a victory lap and go, hey, this is what you can look forward to. This is where humanity gets to, maybe. Or some of you, when you evolve, this is what you turn into. Or like lifetimes and lifetimes later, this is what you're going to look like. Or I don't know. I don't know what they're doing, but they're trying to tell us something positive about, and maybe even show us what the future, or that the future could be bright, especially if we do things a certain way. But they believe it's timely and karmic to do that. And they're fed up with the government repressing them. And this could also be an element of really advanced beings, okay, that live here on Earth with us. But we wouldn't call them human because they're so advanced. They don't look or feel like us, okay, or they don't behave like us. Or maybe they have the ability because they're using advanced, evolved powers or whatever. And I believe we can all get really advanced too, and they can shape-shift and stuff. And I'm not talking about the reptilians. I'm talking about really positive ones, okay, that are among us. I've actually met a few energies where somebody would come up and talk to me and then sort of disappear in thin air. And they would appear human, but there was something weird about them. And then I'd turn around, and so they show up giving me really profound advice. That's happened several times, actually, especially when I was really involved in understanding myself spiritually and just getting connected and getting away from Christianity and really understanding my true nature and my spirit self, and studying astrology and tarot. These beings, I'd meet them, and some people would have called them guides, but I felt like they were literally amongst us, but cloaked, and then just would uncloak, say something to me, shapeshifters. And I feel like that's what we got here. So those guys are around, and they want to introduce themselves, you guys. Okay. So they're also part of this. So the melee thing or whatever, I guess there's lots of ways you could say the word. So I got to say melee that's going on is a whole bunch of things all at once. It's not just, and I feel like this energy might have surprised. So Trump and the White Hats had something planned with these drones. But then these guys also decided at the same time, maybe even to take advantage of everybody looking in the skies and photographing and getting all into it. I feel like maybe they even are trying to take advantage of, okay, there's a lot of activity here, so let's make ourselves known now. Maybe they thought it was a good time or something, because the victory card shows me that maybe they do think this is the time to do it, right? And this is a karmic and timely, and this card definitely wants to be known. Okay, so that's certainly something. Here we've got the Two of Pentacles. Okay, so things are it feels like it might have been a bad time. Like they thought it was a good time. I'm not sure the White Hats think it's a good time. Because this card's like, maybe they interrupted some plan or kind of set everything a little on its heel or something. It feels like things get a little wonky out there. And because the next thing that happens, this is a little like, things are a little wonky and confusing, even more confusing than they already seem. And see, we've got this Four of Wands, and we've got this. So there is going to be a breakthrough, though. And I do feel like it might a woman is going to have an experience. This feels like a woman, a very grounded woman. So somebody who is not afraid of ET energy is going to have a breakthrough moment with an ET and get some information for us and come back and tell us what she got. And some people, this is coming, so I don't think it's that person that already had that experience. It's somebody else, I feel like, because this has not happened yet. Okay, so just so you know, we're December 17th and it hasn't happened yet, but it's coming. I feel like between now and January, we're going to have somebody with a really good account of an interaction with these ETs, and they'll give us some info. And it's not the person that said, oh, they just wanted to say, Jesus loves you or whatever that was. Like, I don't feel like it'll come with those kind of a message. Okay, I feel like ETs are going to relate differently, like just my opinion, but and also this says it's coming in the future. Okay, so coming soon, but not here yet. Okay, so now we've got the Three of Swords and we've got the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so we've got the Three of Swords, so an old hurt. So revisiting or wanting to heal the wounds from the past. So this card wants to heal the wounds from the past and really catapults us. So when this gets known, or a story that gets revealed from these ETs finally does get known to humanity, I feel like they're going to tell us about our true history, and a lot of people will really change. I feel like we'll see a lot of people changing their ideas about life very quickly, having to, like the ones that are versatile mentally, are going to have to really change their opinions about things. They're going to have to catch up. They're going to have the Wheel of Fortune. It's going to send humanity in a direction that's completely different than people thought. We're going to find something out about that's hurtful about our past. Maybe the way we were treated, how we were enslaved in the first place, who enslaved us, something. And I feel like as that's revealed, and that's maybe why the white hats are so careful with this information, as it's revealed, it'll really, really, like, people will react really strange. And that could, like, all kinds of ways, not just one way. So some people will want to kill themselves, maybe, like Cliff High was picking that up. Maybe some of that, maybe some people will, not want to be in society the way it exists, because it's all built on a lie and slavery. Okay, a lot of us truthers have been through that as it is. Like a lot of things people could go in very different directions, which also the word melee or whatever describes, where nobody wants anything to do with officialdom anymore, because they see that it was all created to fool us in the first place, kind of thing. Well, we're kind of headed that way anyway. So humanity heads in a totally different direction because of this connection that's happening. And as it unfolds here in the coming days and months, weeks, months, that's what I'm getting around it. So meanwhile, there's a whole different thing going on with the white hats and the drones. And I feel like they're exposing technology to us and the lies of our government, as they've been doing all along. And I don't get it'll lead to big lockdowns or getting fooled again by governments, because the White Hat Alliance are actually in charge. And I'm not saying they do everything the way I like them to, but I'm just saying they're not against humanity, at least. They're for the betterment of humanity, in my opinion anyway, so far what I'm getting. Okay. Wow. Well, that's a mouthful, but it's so convoluted. Like it's hard to understand it. I get it. I might have just confused you even more, but I just needed to say there's 3 elements here, maybe even 4 actually at this point, because add that other element of the rogue sort of intuitive energies, people's, a whole nother group building these things as well on top of the government. So there's not just one kind of drone out there, you guys. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on all at the same time. And it's ramping up and getting pretty interesting. Okay, so let's look at this Pope ritual. So the fake Pope, again, the Vatican was capitulated. Okay, that's what I was getting. That's what I'm getting. So when I read things like the Pope, who I know is rounded up a whole long time ago, okay, and you can see that it's not the real Pope. You can also see that they've been using CGI with supposed addresses from the Pope. Okay, that was proven years ago when they had one of his addresses supposedly out some window where he was flickering off and on. I think they did it on purpose to let everybody know this is fake, guys. Hello, those guys were rounded up. I feel like the Vatican is not being run by the demonic club that used to run it. Okay, it's definitely a demonic club, but it's not being run by the same folks. Okay, it's being outed, and they're using it. Who knows for what? Who knows? And they're probably still cleaning out some of the tunnels under there. Okay, so let's have a look at this ritual. So there's a ritual starting Christmas Eve, apparently. And it sounds totally demonic. So if you really listen, it sounds like they're just outing how demonic these guys are. Okay. Because there's a lot of Christians that still actually look up to this. It's so absurd, really, when you think about it. If you're a good person and religious but you look at the Pope and you don't see that maybe there's something wrong with the decadence. Maybe you haven't done any research on popes. Look at the history of how they were created, why they were created, and what kind of wealth and debauchery went on and do you think that just ended all of a sudden? They got really spiritual. Oh, they were all debauched scumbags. Okay, so they likely still are. What? They all of a sudden turned pious? I don't think so, right? These guys are powerful as all you know what. And they have their own bank and everything. These guys are overlords, man. These guys are absolute traffickers, arms dealers. Why do you think the royal family, who's supposed to, not even Catholic, by the way, okay, so members of the royal family go visit the Pope. Okay, what? Because they're talking business, okay? Trafficking, that's royal family business. And so's, that's the British royal family's business. For years it was and arms dealing. You bet. Yeah, they're like reptilian creepy creeps. They're like hybrids. They're not actually human. Or hybrids took over the bodies of people that you could call the royal family. Okay, that's actually how I think it works. They actually go in through the eye and completely take over and just use the facade of. That's why kids used to run away from the Queen. There's video footage of little kids that can see through sort of they're still spiritually in touch enough to see through this kind of stuff, right? So they'll see the real essence of the Queen and stuff, okay? And they'll see that there's some entity, in the place of the Queen. Okay, maybe even when she was little and young and growing up, she was a nice person even. For all we know, we don't know for sure, right? And then at some point, sometime right around her marriage, or even before that maybe, and when she, because in her marriage, early days with her horrifying, creepy husband, who I think was a creep right from the get-go. But anyway, that's just my opinion. But that guy, so they go to Canada, and what happens? 10 Indigenous kids disappear, and there's a big cover-up about it. Okay, they literally trafficked 10. They went there and hand-picked 10 Indigenous children from British Columbia, from one of those horrifying schools that they, the Crown created, okay, to traffic kids, of course, right? And we know how much they like Indigenous children from all over the world. Those are their favorite, for adrenochrome, etc. And who knows what happened to those 10 kids. It's just a horrifying story. It's never been dealt with. Nobody talks about it, right? Except a truther community. And of course, that one fellow, I forget his name now, but he's amazing. That's been yelling about it for years. That Canadian guy used to be a preacher of some kind. Okay, so let's have a look at this. The Pope plans ritual for Christmas Eve. What's really going on there? we're safe from these guys' evil because I believe they're spellcasters, and every time they do a mass above ground, they're actually performing a black mass or like deep dark magic mass, bad magic below. Okay, so obviously I think now they're actually, so I feel like the White Hat Alliance are now outing these guys. So even the fact that they're saying they're going to do this ritual, using the word ritual as well, and these series of rituals on Christmas Eve, which is, by the way, one of the biggest black magic nights of the year, Halloween, Christmas, and we're all celebrating it with them together. Right? We're all like celebrating Christmas together. All of that are their biggest ritual times. Okay. Bad, like we're talking the deep state, the dark cult, the Khazarian mafia, Canaanites. Okay. All the names. Okay. These are all parts of the same, the bad guys that overlorded the earth. Okay. So they definitely use Christmas Mass as a big ritual to spell cast and put their intentions out there for another year. So now they've outed it, that it's actually a ritual and it's going to start on Christmas Eve. I think they're actually exposing what these guys do anyway. So they're very lightly masking over the real truth of what these guys do. So I feel like it's an exposure to get everybody actually worried that maybe these guys are dark magic doers. Okay. And that we need to be concerned. We need to be concerned. So they're looking for concern from people and not just acceptance. Also, they're, really going to be outing that, like they're preparing lots of outing where you understand what they've been doing to kids. Vatican, famous trafficking area, and what goes on underneath the Vatican, and just the pedophilia and trafficking kids through and underneath there. And it's been covered up for years and years, but that place is a huge trafficking hub, okay, or has been. Okay, so I feel like they're trying to get people to look into what they're so resistant to look into, what's been being done with children. And that the Vatican would be completely in on it. Okay, and that includes, if you guys haven't been listening to me for long, Mother Teresa, okay, was a guy, not even a trans, like this is just dressed like a woman, okay, just a guy dressed like a woman who was one of the biggest traffickers for the Vatican, and it was in fact originally a Jesuit, which they're the biggest scumbags. Like they're just a big cover up for the Canaanites. Okay, the Jesuits, they're the black witches for the Canaanites. But anyway, we can go on and on. But yeah, this is an outing of their ritual and gets you looking into, and it prepares people. So slowly they're putting it in your mind. There's something kind of off with these guys. Why are they doing like weird rituals and series of rituals? Like people, even though they might not literally click, something's clicking back here in their intuitive knowing that there's something weird about the language being used about these, and also what they'll see in what appears to be the ritual. All of it is for you to wake up. Right, that these guys spell cast. So they actually put one on display for you. It's probably what they usually do, except it's all acted out because these guys are not around anymore. Okay, that's the good news. The popes aren't around. They gathered up the Pope and all his minions a whole long time ago, all those cardinals, bunch of pedophile scumbags. They gathered those guys up a long time ago. They're probably still dealing with them. Okay, so I know I'm being lengthy about things, but I really think a lot of things have to get sort of clarified here. It's getting so convoluted that I can't just whip through a bunch of questions because things have so many layers right now. It's just, and then also we've got lots of new people watching who I can't just touch the surface and know that you guys will know, because you should see the emails I get. They don't even have a clue what I'm talking about. And it's like, oh my God, okay, I got to start from the beginning. So when I explain things, unfortunately, I'm going to have to be lengthy about it. Yeah, so I just worked myself right. I'm tired now, so I'm going to have to leave it there. But hopefully, I was helpful, and I love you guys. Sending you all ravens, and I'll be back on in a few days doing another one of these. Okay, bye.
Cứ đứng im nhìn cô ăn với việc bác ăn một con được không? Ăn mãi món này con đã nóng rồi ạ. Được, mẹ con biết là bác mất tiền, con chỉ có ăn đi cho khỏe, con có sức khỏe mà lấy chồng được. Mẹ ơi lấy chồng mà cô ỉ gì, còn bác tôi buồn được, cứ chiều hết trước mặt nên cô thành bác đưa lên ăn. Con đừng về nhà nữa, ở đây cho vui, để bác chăm cho ở một vườn đẹp quá. Bác giúp con lấy quần áo và khăn tắm với ạ. Ăn xong cô hỏi bác lên này, rồi chỉ riêng lấy bộ quần áo mình được. Bác làm được không phải khoảng sang. Hôm nay gia đình có thịt áo riêng, mẹ đưa con bạn áo riêng mà được rồi. Mấy khi đã được thịt nắng trong mặt bộ, mẹ của con khi ăn gì mà ngại, bảo sao mãi ra đây vậy. Mẹ nói rồi vào nhà tắm xả nước xả bùn, cô phản đối nữa. Chị Hạnh cũng nói vậy. Mẹ ơi, có cần con giúp không ạ? Chị nháy mắt với chị An khi thấy mặt anh chồng đang dài ra. Thôi, mẹ tự làm được, con xỉu em vào đây đi. Anh đến cho chị An tán vào nhảy vào cò đến để tắm. Cô cầu xin sự giúp đỡ của chị. Chị bảo mẹ để anh tự làm đi mà. Mẹ cáu lên quá. Thôi vào đây nhanh đi, không đàm phán gì ở đây nữa. Cả anh cười rồi đi khăn tắm cho cô an ủi. Thôi chị xin giữ tù thì mẹ cũng tắm cho chị đấy. Nhưng thôi cô gắng đi. Chị Ai mặt dài ra, rồi dài nhìn chị dâu ra khỏi nhà tắm. Mẹ đặt chiếc khăn giày lên thủ nước nhở. Cái chân con cô bên đây không nước vào. Làm vào đi rồi mẹ xả lên nước. Cô không làm gì được, anh cởi quần áo ra, bắn mẹ út chân vào nước. Chân đau được mẹ giật lên lên tránh nước vào. Mặc dù là mẹ, nhưng bây giờ cô lớn hàng ngày rồi thì vẫn ngại. Thế mà mẹ cứ lờ đi xoay người cho cô. Vào phòng mặc thay quần áo, mẹ dễ chắc, nhưng cô giữ lại. Con đau chân chứ có đau tay đâu, mẹ đưa con lại đi làm. Thế thì làm đi, mẹ lấy con và hút hay biết thêm cho con. Mẹ tính là làm việc gì cũng như thế. Không chưa kịp cô thì đã phải sang quay rồi. Cô nhìn mẹ âu yếm. Sao con thấy thừa hưởng của chị Nhi mẹ còn khéo léo của mẹ nhỉ? Bà ngồi xuống cạnh cô thở dài. Vậy nên con đi lấy chồng thì mẹ lo lắm. Cô chuyện đầu nó ba mẹ. Con sẽ không lấy chồng đâu. Ở nhà với con mẹ có sướng hơn không? Hình như mẹ định nói chuyện gì với con à? Mấy hôm nữa, nhà tôi Đức sẽ sang kia chuyện với ông về chuyện của hai đứa. Cô ngồi bật dậy. Con nói gì không? Con đã nói là đã chia tay rồi mà. Con không yêu anh ta, sao mọi người cố chết vậy? Mẹ nghe anh Khoa nói chuyện của con rồi. Nhưng con không được yêu một người như anh con đâu. Cậu đang thử thế giới không dành cho con. Cô, con cũng nghe con nói sẽ đến trong đấy. Con chỉ được lên lấy đồ ít thôi. Đã tốt nhất ở quê đi là sống hạnh phúc với người khác. Là sự không thích một chuyện văn yên và người ăn tốt lại là sự yêu nữa. Hôm ở các nơi thì không biết nên là thực đối vậy sao với cậu hai. Cô nhìn mẹ như cầu xin sự thấu hiểu. Mẹ à, nhưng con chưa sẵn sàng đi được kết hôn. Dù sao người con yêu là anh ấy mà. Con biết mình không thể ở bên anh ấy, nhưng làm sao con quên ngay được để lấy người khác chứ? Nếu đã không thể thì chấm dứt đi. Hơn nữa chỉ đính hôn thôi. 2 năm nữa tôi Đức về mới cưới. Cậu ta là người mẹ tin tưởng khi gả con đi. Cô nhìn mẹ bằng đôi mắt tuyệt vọng, nước mắt cứ rơi ra không ngừng. Mẹ cũng đã từng yêu mà. Sao mẹ lại bắt con lấy người mình không yêu chứ? Con yêu anh ấy. Con cũng biết sẽ chẳng đến đâu. Nhưng mẹ ơi, con rất yêu anh ấy. Con không muốn quên. Mẹ phải hiểu con chứ. Con hứa chỉ yêu anh ấy đến khi anh ấy thành công thôi. Con chỉ yêu thầm và muốn bên cạnh động viên anh ấy thôi. Con sẽ không lấy, sẽ dừng lại khi đến thời điểm mà. Nhưng bây giờ thì không được, con không muốn. Nhìn Dĩ An khóc và xót lắm, nhưng lại không thể để con cứ sai hẳn sai được. Nếu mãi đeo đuổi một tình yêu không có kết quả thì sẽ ra sao? Hơn nữa làm sao con phải chịu được áp lực của dư luận? Con bé không dành cho cái giới nghệ sĩ đầy xa hoa nhưng khắc nghiệt ấy. Cô của nó đã tự tử chỉ vì dư luận khi đang thời kỳ nổi tiếng nhất. Vì vậy mà ông cấm đại gia đình không cho ai theo cái nghề ấy nữa. Bây giờ ông mà biết nó yêu người của công chúng thì sẽ thế nào? Thay bằng để nó tiếp tục lấn sân thì bà nên cắt đứt khi càng sớm càng tốt. Đứng lên và nói bằng giọng dứt khoát. 2 năm nữa thì con sẽ quên được cậu ta thôi. Con dành thời gian cho Tô Đức là sẽ yêu. Mẹ là người đi trước nên không muốn con có sự lựa chọn sai lầm. Không nói nữa, mọi người quyết định ngày gặp mặt rồi. Không muốn nhìn con khóc nên bà buồn ra ngoài khi đôi mắt cũng đã đỏ hoe. Mẹ bước ra khỏi phòng, mắt Dĩ An nhảy đi, lòng dấy lên một cơn co thắt. Trái tim của cô như bị ai đó bóp chặt đến không thở nổi. Kìm nén nhưng không ngăn được, cô khóc nức lên. Cô gập người xuống ôm ngực mình để ngăn không khóc thành tiếng. Cánh cửa khẽ mở, cô không nhận ra được là tiếng thở dài của anh trai mình. Dĩ Thường đứng trước mặt cô lên tiếng. Mẹ đã nói đúng, An ạ. Cô thì thào giữa những tiếng nức nở. Anh vào đây để khuyên em dừng lại. Khuyên em quên anh ấy thì sao? Em có muốn anh ôm em như lúc nhỏ không? Dĩ Thường chưa từng nhìn thấy anh mình đau khổ như vậy. Nhìn mắt nó là biết đã yêu cậu ta thế nào. Anh cũng muốn khuyên nó nhưng không biết bắt đầu từ đâu. Người Dĩ An rung lên từng hồi. Tay ông khóc lóc. Anh lại gần vòng tay ôm nó vào người. So với việc nhìn nó khóc thì anh mong nó ngang ngược lạnh lùng cãi lại. Thì anh bắt nó làm việc mà nó không muốn, còn hơn là như vậy. Cuộc sống không thể ngờ được một ngày em gái anh lại rơi vào hoàn cảnh này. Anh đã luôn cố gắng che chở cho nó, không muốn nó đau khổ vì người khác, nhưng số phận không theo ý anh được. Cô ôm chặt anh khóc nức lên từng hồi. Anh nói đúng, chẳng gì có thể đau hơn khi trái tim bị tổn thương. Bây giờ em thấy rất đau. Trái tim em như có kim đâm vào vậy. Em phải làm thế nào đây? Mặt cô đã đẫm nước thấm ướt cả áo anh. Khẽ xoa đầu cô, anh thì thầm. Mọi chuyện sẽ nhanh chóng kết thúc thôi. Nếu yêu một người mà mình không với tới được, thay bằng ở bên người ta, thì em hãy bảo vệ cậu ấy theo cách của mình. Nếu em cố chấp thì sẽ dập tắt ước mơ của cậu ấy khi nó mới vừa bắt đầu. Nghe lời anh đi. Sau hôm nay em hãy đứng lên như trước kia em đã làm. Anh không muốn thấy em như thế này nữa. Nhưng em yêu anh ấy. Chỉ nghĩ đến giờ xa thôi là em khó chịu lắm. Rồi anh ấy sẽ thế nào khi em chia tay lúc này chứ? Cô ngước đôi mắt đẫm nước nhìn anh. Dĩ Thường lau nước mắt em gái. Anh nói, em nghĩ cho em đi đã, sống cho tốt và đừng để cậu ta lo lắng. Còn bây giờ đi một giấc. Ngủ dậy, anh sẽ tỉnh táo để suy nghĩ thấu đáo hơn. Càng cao xuống tỉnh, anh sẽ ở đây với em. Khi anh nằm xuống, mắt cô đỏ hoe, cô nhớ lại. Anh cầm đi cô vỗ về. Ngủ đi, rồi mọi chuyện sẽ tốt hơn thôi. Anh sẽ giúp em giải quyết mọi việc và thực hiện những điều hoàn hảo.